Hi, I'm Tinny from Many Bowl Design, and today my spectral line came from Z-Pack. This is a 1.5 millimeter, pretty much neon green or neon yellow, kind of halfway in between. I think it's rated for like 600 pounds, but anyway, I didn't have enough to make all the tie-out lines for my Cuben Fiber hammock, but it came today, so I brought the Cuben Fiber hammock back out and pitched it and made all the lines for it, including the lines that hold the doors back, because this has a set of doors that unhook and swing down around and swing in to block the wind on a windy night. Now, this is an amazing material. This entire top weighs 6.5 ounces without the guidelines, and I see. Okay, for those of you who haven't been able to see a Cuben Fiber product yet, I've got a 9x11 Z-Pack tarp here, and I'm going to go right in close and show you what it looks like. You've probably seen Shug Emery's videos, and he has a Cuben Fiber tarp that he uses for shelter. But if you look at it, I don't know whether I can get it in the camera or not. It's basically two pieces of some kind of plastic, and there's this some kind of fiber woven into it. I'm not even sure that this fiber goes in two directions. It may only go in one direction. It's so fine it's really hard to tell. But it's just trapped between two layers of plastic. And the fibers are so far apart that it lets light right in. It's an amazing fabric. And I'm just plain impressed right to the limit with it. This entire tarp, 9x11, weighs 6.5 ounces. Sealed all the sewn places on it with silicone that they sent me in a tube. So that probably added, I don't know, 1/4 ounce to it, maybe 1/2 ounce, I don't know. Not a lot. This stuff is like stronger than steel and lighter than air. So I'm just amazed with how technology is advancing. I mean, originally when I first got into backpacking, there wasn't really anything lightweight, and then they came up with sil nylon. That got real popular, and we thought that was all there was to be had, but in reality, it wasn't that good. But this Cuben Fiber, I'll probably say the same thing when they come out with the next stuff. And I'm thinking when I'm 80 years old, I'll probably be sitting somewhere telling a story about going out backpacking and using a Cuben Fiber tarp for shelter. Some young kid's going to walk up and say, "What's Cuben Fiber?" And I'm going to have to say, "Oh, well, it used to be a state-of-the-art material used for ultralight backpacking. Now I guess you probably wouldn't recognize it unless I told you it's what they make shopping bags out of." And I visualize the next one they come up with being maybe nanotech fiber or something, and it'll come with a 1 ounce weight sewn into the corner, because the fabric will actually be lighter than air, and if it doesn't have the 1 ounce weight in it and it's not tied to anything, it'll actually float away on you. That's about the next thing you're going to have to come up with to beat Cuben Fiber. It's a pretty amazing stuff. Now, in the comments section on YouTube, I had somebody ask me, it's like, why don't you use an umbrella? Well, look out through here. If I was to pick the camera up and we was to walk on the Appalachian Trail, you'd find that a lot of places are like this. There's trees and limbs everywhere that are hanging down, and you'd be catching an umbrella on. You wouldn't walk 30 feet before you'd catch an umbrella on a limb. Plus, a lot of places you have to climb where I hike, and I can't climb with an umbrella in my hand. A hiking stick works pretty well, and the wind and everything out. Just for this area, not practical, but I think there are some areas on the Appalachian Trail where it would work great, where you're on a sandy trail without any trees around you and it rains a lot. Yeah, I think I probably would work okay. And somebody else, actually 2 or 3 people mentioned that when I used to sell the Crazy Cooking Kit or the Graham Weenie's Kitchen, the Heineken pots that I sold in them, I painted the bottom black. And that's correct, I did, and it made a difference, kind of. It's one of those things where you could boil water in it 10 times, you'll always get a different number. Now, you can skew that number in your favor, or you can skew it in, away from your favor, one way or the other. It was a logical thing to do. People liked it, and there's a lot of people still that paint the bottoms of their pots black. But after watching Hiram Cook's videos, I've pretty much come to the conclusion that it doesn't make any difference. If he did the test 4 or 5 times, he might skew it more towards that, but I would say only maybe very, very most 5%. Whereas Backpacking Magazine said 30 to 40%, and I think you can see that that's a little more out there than the way I was. So, everybody has their opinion, but my opinion now solidly is that it makes little or no difference. And Backpacking Magazine really stuck their foot in it when they said 30 or 40%. Come on. Now, I've been looking at wood stoves, and I got to tell you, it would be just absolutely fantastic if I could just carry a little 2-ounce stove and get all my fuel right out of the woods, because it's a crying shame because there's 40 zillion BTUs all around me. But unfortunately, I don't have that much luck using a small wood stove to boil water. It just becomes more trouble than it's worth once I do the numbers on it. But if I did it day in and day out, I might change my mind and I might develop a technique that would work. But I don't do that much cooking, so it's not worth that much to me. And I don't build a campfire at night. So if I did, I might be able to work that in, and actually it certainly would save weight, and it would be a good thing. I also wish that I could use a Sterapin, and I might even buy one yet, but I read about a set of reviews on the Sterapin. Maybe 50 people chimed in on it, and out of the 50 people, probably 20 of them had at one point in time where the Sterapin failed on them, so they weren't real impressed. Now, after reading all the comments and all the reviews on it, I think 99% of the Sterapin problems was one of 2 things. One being the set of the old ones had a set of electrodes that had to read whether it was in water or not by resistance or conductivity of the water. And if you get really good water, the way I understand it, like a glacier melt, or just really clean water that doesn't have hardly any minerals in it, the Sterapin wasn't sensitive enough to read the electricity flowing through the water, and it wouldn't work. Some people put in just a little bit of salt or Gatorade, and it picked it right up because it lowered the resistance and made it more conductive. Another thing that a lot of people had problems with was on the older ones, the resting state, the machine drew enough to drain the batteries, so if they left the batteries installed and left it in a drawer or in their pack for a long time, say a few months, it would actually kill the batteries, and when they get out and get ready to use it, it was dead. The newer ones, the resting state draw is much less, like 1/10, and that doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. And they also have an optical device that senses water optically instead of electrically, so that cures the low conductivity water problem. So those 2 problems have been addressed. It's a little bit lighter machine. It does run on batteries, and the third point is it does run on batteries. So from what I've read, you want to carry at least 1 extra set of batteries because you can run into problems with them, and that adds more weight. So you've got the machine at 3.6, and I'm going to say 1 ounce or 2 for batteries. That brings you up to 4.6. Well, let's round it off to 5. Then you need to carry, and they sell a little 17 micron filter that you can put right on your bottle and pour your water through that takes it down so that it looks clear, so the Sterapin will work in it, and that's another 3 ounces. So you're up to like 8 ounces. For another 3 ounces, you're right where my water filter is now. So it's really not a big weight savings, and I don't filter a huge amount of water, and my filter works quite well. And probably if you take my filter plugging up, which can be back flush, versus all the problems with the Sterapin, I think it's an even up toss. And So I probably will just stay with my Hyperflow. If I was going to hike in the wintertime, I think I might go to the Sterapen. Although it takes longer to treat water in the wintertime than it does in summertime, the hollow fiber could freeze up and break. So, it's 6 one to half dozen the other, I think I'll just stay with the Hyperflow. I don't think there's that much weight savings. But, I'll keep looking at it. I may find that I go to the Sterapen. I probably could save 5 ounces if I did it correctly. Maybe. So for right now, I'm still waiting for my raincoat to come and a couple other things, and then I'll do a video on my 5-pound backpack. So I'm Tinny from Mini Bull Design. Get out and hike, take a friend, enjoy the great outdoors, and more important than anything, try to be nice. Leave no trace, and have a really great day. Bye-bye.